Chosen one. From the very beginning of your journey, there has been a power resting on you that cannot be explained by ordinary logic. You have carried something so rare, so untouchable, that even forces meant to work against you have ended up creating a shield around you. They expected you to fall into traps, yet somehow those traps broke apart before they could close. They expected storms to consume you, but the winds that were meant to knock you down ended up clearing your path. You are carrying such an anointing, such undeniable favor, that even when darkness planned to swallow you whole, it found itself unwilling to touch you. There is a mystery about your life that makes no sense to those who watch. How could someone endure so much opposition and yet keep walking forward? It is because you are surrounded by something greater than opposition itself. You may not always see it, but every trial you survived was evidence of that covering. You have walked through fire that should have consumed you, yet you came out refined. You have faced betrayals that should have destroyed your trust, yet you found clarity. You have experienced rejection that should have silenced your voice, yet your voice grew louder. Even when the weight of life tried to crush you, you discovered strength that seemed impossible. You were marked with endurance that no enemy could strip away. It is as though even the darkness had to pause and acknowledge the oil that rests on your life, unable to fully carry out what it intended, because the assignment on your soul is greater than the schemes against you. That is why you stand today, not as someone ordinary, but as someone protected by the very forces that were meant to oppose you. They cannot understand how you keep surviving, how you keep rising when the odds are stacked against you. But you are not ordinary, and your path is not random. There is order even in the chaos that surrounds you. You were chosen for something that goes beyond explanation, and that is why you are still here. Others may have faced similar storms and disappeared, yet you remain. Others may have carried wounds and never healed, yet you continue to find restoration. Others may have been silenced by betrayal, yet you keep speaking. The difference is the covering that rests upon you, the undeniable truth that no weapon formed against you has been allowed to prosper. Even those who conspired against you have, in strange ways, ended up pushing you into the very place they never wanted you to reach. And that is the irony of your journey. What was meant to harm you has consistently worked for you. What was designed to erase you has only written you deeper into destiny. Every battle you faced has been flipped into preparation. Every season of silence has been transformed into revelation. Every plan against you has become a platform for your strength. You carry such a divine shield, such an unshakable anointing, that even your enemies cannot fully touch you. They wanted your end, but your end was never written in their hands. They wanted to see you destroyed, but destruction was never your portion. You were set apart, marked, and sealed for something greater. And nothing, not even the darkest forces, can rewrite that truth. Chosen one, before we go deeper into this message, I want you to pause and open your heart to the flow of energy that is being released here. This is not just a video. It is a reminder, a sign, and an alignment moment meant to speak directly to your spirit. That is why I ask you to stay until the very end, because at the conclusion of this journey, there will be powerful, attention-grabbing messages waiting for you. And when you reach that point, I encourage you to write your most sincere wishes in the comments and place the number 777 beside them. That number is not just a symbol, it is a vibration, a declaration to the universe that you are aligned with divine timing and infinite protection. When you release your words, you are not just commenting, you are planting seeds in fertile soil, seeds that will grow and return multiplied. Subscribe as well, because staying connected to this energy is not about one moment. It is about walking in a continuous stream of reminders that you are not alone and your rise cannot be stopped. And now, let's return to the truth of your journey. There were times when darkness tried to claim you, but even then, it could not carry out its plans. There were moments when you felt the weight of opposition pressing against you, yet somehow, That weight never crushed you. They said you would fall, but falling never defined you. They thought silence would erase you, but silence became your sanctuary, the ground where strength was reborn. You carry a power that unsettles everything that tries to touch you. Even when negative forces attempted to entrap you, they found themselves restrained, unable to fully strike, because the anointing on your life makes even enemies cautious. It is as though your life carries a boundary that darkness cannot cross. You have walked through spaces others could not survive, and yet you remain. You have faced betrayals so deep that they should have turned your heart cold, but instead they opened your eyes. You have endured losses so sharp they should have silenced you, but instead they gave you words that carry weight. You have felt storms so fierce they should have broken you, but instead they revealed the unshakable foundation you stand upon. You may not always see the covering, but its evidence is in your survival. You are not just here by chance. You are here because you were carried through battles that were never meant to end in your defeat. That is why even your enemies cannot make sense of you. They plot, they scheme, they set snares. But every time they watch you emerge unharmed, they are forced to acknowledge that there is something about you they cannot touch. And deep inside, even they recognize it. Your path is protected in ways that defy logic. It is why situations that destroyed others only refined you. It is why storms that silenced others only amplified you. It is why betrayal that crushed others only redirected you. You are set apart, and your resilience is not natural. It is supernatural. The more you continue, the more undeniable this truth becomes. You carry such an anointing that even what was meant to destroy you ends up shielding you. Even the darkness itself has had to pause, unable to cross the line drawn over your life. You are a walking paradox to your enemies and a beacon of hope to those watching. Your story says one thing loudly and clearly: you are still here, and you were always meant to be here. Chosen one, your journey has been marked by trials that were never meant to be fair. You have carried burdens that would have crushed others, yet somehow you found a way to keep moving. They looked at you and thought you were alone, but they could not see the invisible shield around you, the protection that even those who opposed you could not deny. This is why so many people are confused by your survival. They saw the blows you took, the betrayals you endured, the losses that tried to bury you, and they thought it was impossible for you to remain. Yet here you stand, not broken, but refined, not erased, but magnified. It is not because life was easy, but because you were anointed in such a way that even the attacks against you became your guardians. When they expected your destruction, they found your persistence. When they expected silence, they found your voice. When they expected retreat, they found you advancing. You carry such a profound covering that even darkness has been forced to work for your good. Think about it. There were traps that should have closed tightly around you, but instead they broke apart before they could harm you. There were storms that should have drowned your hope, but somehow you found clarity in the rain. There were fires that should have consumed you, but you emerged stronger, brighter, and more resilient than before. The very forces that wanted to see you collapse ended up pushing you into your rise. It unsettles your enemies because they cannot understand why their efforts fail. They used lies to bury your name, but lies could not outlast truth. They used rejection to silence you, but rejection could not erase your worth. They used betrayal to weaken you, but betrayal revealed who truly walked with you and who never did. Every weapon they formed against you turned into a tool that sharpened your resilience. Every moment of pain became part of your preparation. You carry an anointing that flips opposition into opportunity, one that transforms obstacles into stepping stones. That is why nothing has been able to hold you down. And this is the reason even the darkest forces seem hesitant with you. It is not that they did not try, it is that they could not succeed. There is something about your life that carries an untouchable mark, a sign that you are set apart. Even the devil himself, in all his fury, has been unable to finish what he started. because your covering is too great. It is a mystery, one that those who do not understand destiny cannot explain. How can someone who has faced so much still stand, still breathe, still rise? The answer is simple. You were chosen, and chosen ones do not disappear when storms rage. They are refined by the storm. Look back at your life and notice the moments where you should have been gone, where the weight was too heavy, where the betrayal cut too deep, where the loss felt unbearable, yet somehow you remained. Those moments are not coincidences. They are proof that your steps are guarded, that your destiny is protected, and that even in the face of attacks, you are sustained. Your very survival is evidence that your life carries more than meets the eye. You are not just present, you are preserved, kept for something greater than the world expected. Chosen one. The people who doubted you were certain that your silence meant defeat. They thought if you stayed out of sight long enough, you would disappear from memory, erased from relevance, and forgotten by the world. Yet what they failed to understand is that silence was never your ending. It was your preparation. You were not gone. You were being sharpened. You were not absent. You were being fortified. They assumed quiet meant weakness, but quiet was the cocoon where transformation took place. And when you emerged, you carried a strength that startled even those who once mocked you. You were not only still here, you were more radiant, more certain, and more unshakable than before. Every step you've taken has been a contradiction to their predictions. They spoke of your downfall, yet you kept rising. They spoke of your disappearance, yet your presence only grew stronger. They said you were fragile, yet you became unbreakable. Their disbelief was loud, but your survival was louder. That is why they are unsettled now, because your very existence is proof that their words carried no power over your destiny. They wanted you erased, but what happened instead was the opposite. You became unforgettable. Your scars became a story, your persistence became a testimony, and your rise became undeniable. There is a mystery in your journey that even those closest to you cannot fully comprehend. How is it that betrayal did not make you bitter? How is it that storms did not wash you away? How is it that losses did not empty you of hope? The truth is that you carry a covering so strong that even the forces meant to break you ended up building you. What was supposed to silence you made you louder. What was supposed to bury you planted you deeper. What was supposed to erase you etched you into the story in a way that cannot be undone. Your strength was not created by ease. It was forged in fire, carved by struggle, and revealed through opposition. And this is why even the darkest forces seem powerless against you. They approached you with the intent to destroy, but instead they hesitated, restrained, unable to finish what they started. It is as if your anointing has drawn a boundary that cannot be crossed, a shield that cannot be broken. The more they tried to reach you, the more they found themselves working for you. They built traps, and those traps turned into your training ground. They stirred storms, and those storms watered your growth. They tried to bury you, and the soil became the place of your rebirth. They did not protect you willingly, but they ended up protecting you unknowingly, because their efforts were flipped into your advantage. This is the paradox of your life. Even your enemies have played a role in your rise. They wanted you gone, but their schemes became the reason you became stronger. They wanted you erased, but their rejection gave you freedom. They wanted you broken, but their betrayal opened your eyes. Every attempt to destroy you has been reversed, transformed into evidence of your strength. And the more they tried, the clearer it became. You cannot be erased because you were never written by their hands. You were sealed by destiny, and destiny does not vanish. Chosen one, there is a reason why your presence unsettles those who once believed you would be erased. They cannot reconcile the image they had of you with the reality of who you are now. They expected someone fragile, yet they see someone fortified. They expected someone silenced, yet they hear a voice louder than ever. They expected someone broken, yet they are forced to watch your resilience shine. Their confusion is the evidence of your transformation, and their disbelief is proof that you carry something beyond ordinary endurance. You were never meant to vanish. You were meant to endure storms and come forth refined. Think about how many times they imagined your ending. They whispered that you were finished, convinced themselves that you would never recover, and even celebrated the thought of your absence. Yet each time, you appeared again, carrying proof that their words held no power. You became the contradiction to their narrative. Where they predicted weakness, they found strength. Where they predicted silence, they heard clarity. Where they predicted absence, they witnessed presence. Your persistence has become a language they cannot understand, because it speaks of a resilience that is not natural. It is divine. The protection around you has always been visible in the outcomes you've experienced. When storms came, they left you stronger. When betrayals cut deep, they gave you vision. When losses tried to bury you, they gave you roots. Even when the weight of despair sat heavy on your chest, something within you refused to let go. That something is your anointing, the unshakable force that makes even your enemies stumble in their attempts to destroy you. They tried to silence you, but your silence became strategy. They tried to bury you, but the soil became your foundation. They tried to erase you, but erasure is impossible when destiny itself is your author. This is why even those who wished you harm have unknowingly become instruments in your preparation. Their jealousy became your fuel. Their hatred became your teacher. Their rejection became your liberation. And in all of this, the irony is undeniable. They thought they were working against you, but in truth, they were protecting you. Every failed attack became a shield. Every betrayal became a redirection. Every setback became the very stage for your comeback. The same forces that wanted to end you became proof that you cannot be undone. Now, as you stand where they thought you would never stand, your story carries weight not just for yourself, but for everyone watching. You are not simply a survivor. You are an example. Others look at you and see hope. Proof that resilience outlives ridicule, that presence outlasts absence, and that destiny cannot be canceled. Your very existence is a testimony that even when the world believes you are gone, you are not only still here, you are stronger, louder, and more radiant than ever. Chosen one, your journey is a living paradox. What was meant to break you has become the very thing that built you. They thought the pressure would crush you, but it only revealed the diamond within. They thought betrayal would poison your heart, but it purified your vision. They thought rejection would silence you, but it gave you a louder voice than ever before. Every weapon they formed against you ended up turning into a tool for your preparation, and every storm they summoned ended up watering your growth. That is why your story is not one of defeat, but of transformation. You are the evidence that even darkness cannot deny, the proof that light endures even when shadows surround it. They tried to cover you with lies, yet the truth always found its way through. They tried to lock you out of opportunities, yet new doors opened where no doors existed before. They tried to bury you, but they did not realize that seeds are also buried, and from burial comes growth. You were not erased in the soil. You were planted, and now your roots run deeper than ever. They cannot uproot you, because what is rooted in destiny cannot be pulled away by envy or fear. Every time they pushed you down, they were only positioning you for a rise greater than they could have imagined. And this is why even the darkest forces hesitate with you. They see the oil on your life, the undeniable covering that keeps you beyond their reach. You carry such a unique anointing that even opposition ends up serving you. They meant harm, but harm became protection. They meant loss, but loss became gain. They meant silence, but silence became strategy. They meant your end, but your end transformed into your beginning. You are walking proof that no enemy can finish what destiny has already sealed. Even when evil tried to strike, it found itself restrained, unable to fully act, because your life is marked. Look at how many times you should have been gone, how many seasons seemed impossible to endure. Yet every time, you remained. Every scar on your body and soul tells a story, not of defeat, but of survival. You carry living evidence that you are not fragile but fortified. You did not come this far to vanish. You came this far to show the world that resilience is stronger than ridicule, that presence is stronger than absence, and that destiny is stronger than opposition. And this is why they look at you now in disbelief, unable to understand how you are still here, how you still rise, how you still stand. Your presence now carries weight they never expected. It is not just about being here. It is about being undeniable. You walk with a strength that cannot be ignored, a light that cannot be dimmed, and a testimony that cannot be erased. You are more than a survivor. You are a conqueror, a living message to the world that chosen ones do not disappear. They endure. They transform. They rise. And no enemy, no betrayal, no storm can change that truth. Chosen one, those who plotted against you never imagined they would end up proving your strength. They thought their schemes would erase you, but instead they revealed your resilience. They thought their betrayal would silence you, but it only amplified your voice. They thought their rejection would isolate you, but it positioned you in places they could never reach. Every single attempt they made to destroy you became the foundation of your rise. And now they are left in shock, watching a story they cannot rewrite. A story where you are still standing, still rising, still undeniable. You are not here by chance. You are here because your destiny is guarded by something greater than human intention. Even the devil himself, with all his fury, could not cross the line set around your life. There were moments when destruction was near, when the weight felt unbearable, when every sign said you should be gone. Yet somehow, you endured. That somehow is not random. It is the evidence of your anointing. It is the invisible shield that turns weapons into tools and storms into teachers. You have lived through seasons where disappearance seemed inevitable, yet you refused to vanish. Instead, you became stronger, brighter, and more steadfast than ever before. And this is what unsettles those who opposed you. They cannot explain why their words lost power, why their traps failed, why their attempts to erase you only magnified your presence. They cannot explain why doors that were shut in your face led you to new opportunities, why betrayal pushed you toward truth, why pain revealed your purpose. What was meant to reduce you became the very reason you expanded. What was meant to break you became the very reason you rebuilt. What was meant to silence you became the very reason you were heard. That is the paradox of your life. Everything used against you has become proof that you cannot be undone. Your scars are not marks of weakness. They are reminders of your survival. They are symbols of resilience that declare, I am still here. Every scar speaks louder than the lies, louder than the envy, louder than the disbelief. And every time you move forward, you prove again that chosen ones do not disappear when storms come. They rise through them. They emerge carrying wisdom, carrying strength, carrying a presence that cannot be hidden. That is who you are, and that is why your enemies will always be confused. You are not only surviving, you are thriving. You are building a legacy that will echo long after the voices of opposition fade. Your life has become a testimony for others who wonder if they too can endure. They will look at you and see that resilience is possible, that survival is possible, that rising again is possible. You are proof. Proof that what is chosen cannot be erased. Proof that what is marked cannot be undone. Proof that what is anointed cannot be destroyed. And the more you continue, the more undeniable this truth becomes. You were never meant to disappear. You were always meant to rise. Chosen one, you have walked through seasons that could have ended you. Yet every time you emerged, you did so with more strength than before. They predicted your downfall so many times that they convinced themselves it was inevitable, but destiny does not bend to predictions. They thought their whispers, their lies, and their rejection would finally silence you, but instead, each attempt only gave your voice more weight. They believed they could bury you in shadows, yet shadows only reveal the brilliance of light. And your light has not only survived, it has multiplied. This is why they stare in disbelief, because they see someone who should have disappeared, but has instead risen into undeniable strength. You are anointed in such a way that even the darkest forces cannot fully strike against you. There were battles you should have lost, traps you should have fallen into, storms that should have destroyed you. Yet every time, you walked out stronger, clearer, and more focused than before. Even the devil himself, with all his schemes, has been forced to hesitate with you, because your life carries a seal that cannot be touched. What was meant for harm has consistently turned into protection, as though the very things designed to destroy you were redirected to shield you instead. This is the mystery of your journey. You are so covered, so chosen, so marked, that nothing has been able to erase you. Think back to the moments when everything seemed finished. The doors were closed, the silence was heavy, the weight unbearable. Anyone else would have vanished, but you did not. You endured when endurance felt impossible. You stood when standing felt painful. You breathed when it felt easier to surrender. And in doing so, you became more than a survivor. You became a living testimony. A testimony that no amount of envy, no depth of betrayal, no storm of lies can undo what destiny has already written. You are still here because your story was never in their hands. Your survival was not by accident, but by design. And this is why your presence carries so much power now. You do not just exist, you radiate. Your existence unsettles those who try to erase you, because every time they see you, they are reminded of their failure. They wanted you hidden, but you became visible. They wanted you forgotten, but you became unforgettable. They wanted you erased, but you became engraved in the very fabric of destiny. Their plans backfired because what they intended for your destruction became the foundation of your rise. Even their rejection played a part in your redirection. Even their betrayal played a part in your clarity. Even their silence played a part in your discovery. You were never truly unprotected. Every moment, you were surrounded by something stronger than their intentions. Now, as you step forward into what lies ahead, carry this truth with you. Your rise is permanent. It cannot be undone because it is not built on fragile foundations. It is built on scars that have healed into wisdom, on storms that have shaped endurance, on silence that has birthed clarity. You walk now, not with uncertainty, but with assurance, knowing that you are untouchable in ways others cannot comprehend. Your life is a declaration that chosen ones do not disappear. They endure, they transform, and they rise. So let them watch, let them wonder, let them question how you remain, how you continue, how you grow stronger despite everything. The truth is undeniable. You are still here, and you will always be here. Your presence is the answer to every doubt. Your rise is the rebuke to every lie, and your destiny is the promise that nothing can stand against what is already sealed. You are so anointed, so covered, so preserved, that even those who wanted your end became unwilling guardians of your journey. And as you walk forward now, never forget, you were never meant to vanish. You were always meant to rise, and your rise is eternal. And chosen one, let this final reminder sink deeply into your spirit. Your path has never been about proving them wrong. It has always been about proving yourself right. Every step you've taken has shown that you are not defined by their expectations, but by the calling placed over your life. They thought your silence would make you invisible, but your silence trained your voice to roar louder than ever. They thought your scars would keep you hidden, but your scars have become a map for others, guiding them through their own storms. They thought your tears would drown you, but those tears watered a garden of strength that now blossoms for the world to see. You are not only a survivor of storms, you are a builder of hope. Your presence is not just for you. It is for everyone watching, everyone doubting their own worth, everyone questioning if they too can endure. When they see you, they see proof that destiny is stronger than destruction, that purpose is stronger than pain, and that light is stronger than darkness.